One development today, and President Trump is facing another setback in his efforts to reshape the government. A federal judge temporarily blocked his executive order to shut down the Department of Education. Erica Meltzer is the national editor for Chalkbeat. She is joining us now live to discuss. Erica, great to have you on once again. Welcome. Let's start with the argument that the judge in this case gave weight to in this decision. Tell me about that.
So shortly before President Trump signed this executive order to dismantle the Department of Education, there were really significant layoffs at the department. Almost half the staff are gone. And a coalition sued to say that these layoffs actually amount to an effort to dismantle the department, even though that technically requires congressional approval. And the judge agreed with that argument and said the department is so hampered from fulfilling its statutory obligations right now. And Trump administration officials said publicly that the layoffs were the first step towards dismantling the department. Therefore, you can't do this and you need to reinstate these people so that the department can do its job.
Okay, so that was the case as it was argued in the courtroom. Talk to me about the practical effect now. 1,300 employees are told that they can still keep their jobs, their work will continue. Can you give me just a few bullet points of the kind of work that by and large they do for the Department of Ed?
The departments that were hardest hit were the Office for Civil Rights, federal financial aid that helps college students, and there's an office that supports English learners and helps with teacher training and helps school districts meet their obligations to help students become fluent English speakers. Those were some of the really hard hit offices, and those are some of the places that I think people feel like the department's functions were also impaired. We're also hearing from state officials that sometimes when they have a question about how can I spend this money, or will you release this money that I have applied for, that those things are not happening. And so those are some of the types of things that I think people hope will start happening again.
Were they in limbo while this case was making its way through, or are they actually, having had to look for another job and now coming back to work? What about that gap?
Yeah, I mean, I think the position that the individual employees are in, I think some people probably had started to look for other jobs. At the same time, we have seen a lot of these lawsuits be successful in obtaining preliminary injunctions. These employees were technically on administrative leave and paid through June 9th.
Okay.
So they had not yet gotten to that point where they were officially out of a job.
Okay, that's good to know. The ruling also affects federal student loans. Can you talk a little briefly about that part of all of this?
Well, the federal student loan program, the department has been really pressing to get people back into repayment, but at the same time talking about moving that to the Small Business Administration. And so I think there's just a desire to see to not see radical change without going through the proper congressional procedures.
Okay, so that will keep it the way it is now. It really is important to note here, Erica, that the Massachusetts judge wrote that the Trump administration likely violated the separation of powers here. Let me ask you, is this a sign of that the checks and balances that the Constitution was meant to guarantee are starting to take hold here? What is the reactionary view of that?
So Congress created the Department of Education. Under the law, only Congress can get rid of the Department of Education. At the same time, the Trump administration has advanced a really assertive view of executive power, that everything that's sort of within the executive branch is the purview of the president. So I think we saw the judge assert congressional authority here. And I assume that this will be appealed and work its way up, and we'll see how higher courts answer that question.
Erica Meltzer, national editor for Chalkbeat. Really appreciate you putting all this into perspective for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.